Hello. First tonight, the confidential document which suggests Essex County Council is pressing ahead with plans to outsource most of its services within 3 years.
The document, which has been passed to BBC Essex, was prepared to be seen by councillors in private. It talks about the council having a smaller, directly employed workforce. But the council says there will be no large-scale outsourcing and no large-scale job cuts. This report from Alex Dunlop.
An economic chill is blowing across our town halls, and faced with future spending caps, they're having to tighten their belts. Not least of all Essex. The county council has 40,000 staff and needs to save £200 million over 3 years. One option, slash back the one-size-fits-all in-house bureaucracy and tender out for tailor-made services.
BBC Essex has obtained a copy of an agenda from a private council meeting held last July. Now, in it says that within 3 years the council will have a smaller directly employed workforce. It adds that the council will become a commissioning organisation carrying ultimate responsibility for the provision of services whilst not directly providing those services. It adds that the council will shift from care delivery and service delivery to policy partnerships and procurement.
No one at County Hall would go on camera, but it says there'll be no major outsourcing or redundancies. Instead, it says it'll set up a local authority trading company, effectively a halfway house between the public and private sector.
There will certainly be absolutely no whole-scale outsourcing. There may be minor little tactical bits here and there, but I don't envisage it being significant at all.
I'm sure jobs will go, and I'm sure there will be some sort of outsourcing. I mean, the council's own document talks about a commissioning authority, it talks about using an outsourcing model, and yet they seem to be saying, with another voice, no, there is no outsourcing. What on earth is going on?
Essex County Council has already outsourced the running of 10 council care homes to Excel Care. Staff are unhappy when the firm changed its pay and conditions and sold off some homes.
They've always tried to assure us there'd be no large outsourcing of jobs. Now, clearly, that document is not actually saying that.
So do you think they're lying?
Well, let's say they've been economical with the truth.
One option is to adopt the budget airline model. Barnet in London has dubbed its policy Easy Council, a no-frills option, but you do pay more for some services. As for outsourcing, a recent study showed that almost 90% of employers do use it.
The outsource providers definitely got the expertise, and so they should be able to do things more efficiently and make money themselves. And obviously the organisation's going to be saving money by putting things out to an outsourcer, but I think it does need to be planned carefully.
Essex will give more details about its proposals next week. In the meantime, county halls across the region will be watching to see how it copes in the current economic climate. Alex Dunlop, BBC Look East, Chelmsford.
The NHS has apologised for promising to pay for the care of a 90-year-old dementia patient and then withdrawing the offer the following day. The decision has angered the woman's family, who say they should not be forced to sell her home to fund the costs. The local MP describes the NHS mistake as disgusting. This report from our Home Affairs correspondent Sally Chidzoy.
Former Post Office clerk Daphne Humphreys worked until the age of 60. She was fit and healthy until she approached 90. But now she's in a nursing home. She has dementia and is incontinent. Relatives believe she declined after contracting C. diff in hospital. Her daughter and son-in-law say that at her time of need, the NHS doesn't want to know. After writing scores of letters demanding state funding, they were initially delighted to be told that the NHS had agreed to fund it. But the next day, another section of the NHS told them the opposite.
When I phoned up and asked them about this at the Strategic Health Authority, all I got was, oh no, we've made a mistake. I said, you don't make mistakes in people's lives with such an important thing as this. This is just not acceptable.
We just feel absolutely exhausted. You just find that, you know, you're being pushed away from every angle. We just feel that she's been very badly treated, so as a lot of other people her age as well.
The medical records show that Daphne Humphreys needs 24/7 care, which is why she's in a nursing home. But the NHS, which is responsible for costs in cases where there's a primary need for healthcare, argues she doesn't fulfil their criteria. But it's the mistake that's occupying minds right now.
The distress and anxiety caused to the Northrop family as a result of this is something which is very difficult to describe. It is a shocking indictment of how bureaucratic the NHS has become.
Well, we made an error with that letter and we apologise for it. We can understand that the distress that this will cause in receiving a letter and then it coming to light that the letter was incorrectly drafted.
The NHS say the decision not to fund care was taken by an independent tribunal. The couple argue it's fundamentally wrong that the pensioners' home will have to be sold to fund the care. They say their battle's taken its toll on their own health. They plan to take their case to the Ombudsman. Sally Chidzoy, BBC Look East, Haverhill, Suffolk.
If you have a story to tell about funding for healthcare, you can call us on 08457 630 630 or email via the website.
Angry investors have been demonstrating against Barclays Bank outside the branch at Diss in Norfolk. They claim to have lost thousands of pounds after being taken for a ride by investment advisors at the bank. Our chief reporter Kim Riley was there.
Dressed as an old-style bank manager, Ted Platts with a public wealth warning for Barclays customers. When he and his wife Celia sold their house near Diss to rent for a time, they deposited a large balance in the bank. They were looking for a secure, not speculative investment. Its advisor recommended the Morley Investment Fund, with disastrous results.
We invested £300,000 and it fell within a few short months to below £150,000. It now stands at about £180,000, so we're out of pocket for well in excess of £100,000.
The Barclays Investment Victims Club claims the bank missold the fund to hundreds, if not thousands, of customers. Its secretary, John Bailey from Chatteris in Cambridgeshire, says he lost £50,000 from a £97,000 investment.
I was a bit choked, I was a retired brickie and relied on that for my income, and now I'm back to work again. I really feel that, you know, the advisor took me for a ride, to be quite honest with you, you know, and he drew £4.5 grand, you know, and I just think I was given wrong advice.
Pamela Silman and her husband from Shipdham in Norfolk also lost thousands after some very convincing salesmanship.
Very, very plausible, and seemed to be a very nice person, and we did believe him. And after being 40 years banking with Barclays, we believed everything they said as well. And it turned out to be a pack of lies.
The bank says it's had a relatively small number of specific complaints about the fund.
It says Barclays has a robust process in place for dealing with all customer complaints. And where customers feel dissatisfied, they're entitled to take up the issue with the Financial Ombudsman Service.
As to allegations of fraud made by Ted Platts, Barclays says it's engaged in a thorough internal investigation. Kim Riley, BBC Look East, Diss.
Coming up later in the